exactly 06:15 a.m. on January 12th, 2026, the Caribbean sky erupted in fire. An American F-35B Lightning II, the most expensive fighter jet ever built, worth $115 million, vanished from radar screens in a single blinding flash. The pilot, Lieutenant Commander Sarah Chen, had 17 seconds to eject before her aircraft disintegrated into the jungle below. Her crime? Flying too close to Venezuelan airspace equipped with technology the Pentagon swore was invisible. Her opponent? A Soviet-era S-125 Pechora missile system designed in 1961, upgraded with Chinese electronics, operated by a crew, earning less per year than the cost of a single F-35 tire. The missile that killed her jet cost $2.1 million. The jet cost $115 million. Do the math. This is the story of how the most advanced stealth fighter in the world got humiliated by grandfather's air defense system, and how that single shootdown would cost America $18 billion to fix. January 12, 2026, 0600 hours, 40 nautical miles north of La Guaira, Venezuela, Lieutenant Commander Sarah Chen pushed her F-35B through scattered clouds at 22,000 feet. Her mission was routine: intelligence gathering along the Venezuelan coast, electronic signature mapping of radar installations. Her jet carried no weapons, just sensors, cameras, and the quiet confidence of flying a machine designed to be invisible. Below her, the Caribbean stretched like hammered steel in the early light. Her tactical display showed empty sky in every direction. She was a ghost, untouchable. 300 miles away, in a concrete bunker carved into the coastal mountains near Puerto Cabello, Senior Lieutenant Marco Velasquez sat before a screen that hadn't changed in 40 years. His S-125 Pechora system was older than he was. The radar console flickered with the grainy resolution of 1960s Soviet engineering. His crew called it the museum, but Velasquez had spent 6 months working with Chinese technicians who'd retrofitted the system with low-frequency VHF radar arrays, not the high-frequency X-band radars. American stealth was designed to defeat lower frequencies, longer wavelengths, the kind that don't care about angular surfaces, and radar-absorbent coatings. At 0612, Velasquez's screen lit up, a faint return fuzzy, intermittent, but there. The target was moving at 400 knots, altitude 22,000 feet. No civilian aircraft flew that profile. This was military. This was American. This was the ghost everyone said couldn't be seen. Velasquez keyed his headset. Target acquired. Range 70 kilometers. Request permission to engage. The silence lasted 4 seconds. Then came Colonel Ramirez's voice. "You are certain it is not civilian traffic?" "Affirmative, sir." "No transponder." "Military profile." Another pause, then the order: engage. Velasquez pressed the launch button. The bunker shook. Outside, a 5-meter-long V-753 missile ignited. 17,000 pounds of thrust hurled it skyward at Mach 3.5. 23 seconds to impact. In the cockpit of the F-35, Sarah Chen heard nothing. No alarms, no warnings. The radar warning receiver stayed silent. Stealth wasn't just about being invisible to radar. It was about never knowing you were being hunted until it was too late. At 0615 and 8 seconds, the V-753's proximity fuse detected an aircraft. The warhead detonated. 70 kilograms of high explosive fragmented into thousands of tungsten shards. They ripped through the F-35's left engine, severed hydraulic lines, punctured fuel tanks. Chen's world turned white. The cockpit filled with smoke. Warning lights exploded across every panel. The stick went dead. The aircraft rolled inverted. Her training took over. Left hand to the ejection handle. She pulled. The canopy blew away. The seat fired. The rocket motor launched her into the slipstream at 14 Gs. Her vision tunneled. Her spine compressed. 3 seconds later, her parachute deployed. The harness jerked her upright. The burning wreckage of her jet tumbled past her, trailing fire and aluminum confetti. She watched $115 million disintegrate into the jungle below. Her radio crackled, "Mayday, Mayday, Mayday, Viper 2-1 is down." Pilot ejected. She checked her GPS, 30 nautical miles north of La Guaira. She was drifting toward Venezuela, toward hostile territory. Her survival radio squawked, "Viper 2-1, this is Overwatch. We have your position. SAR is spinning up. Estimate time on station 70 minutes. Stay off the radio, evade and survive." 70 minutes. She had 70 minutes to stay alive before rescue arrived. Chen hit the trees at 18 feet per second. Branches tore at her flight suit. Her helmet smashed against a trunk. The parachute snagged. She dangled 10 feet above the ground. She unclipped and dropped. The impact drove the air from her lungs. Her left wrist was broken. Blood dripped from a gash above her eye. She keyed her survival radio one last time. Viper 2-1 is down and secure. Injured, but mobile. Standing by for SAR. Then she turned it off. Radio silence, because somewhere in these mountains, Venezuelan forces were already moving. 20 minutes later, she heard voices. Spanish. Close. She dropped behind a fallen log and froze. Through the undergrowth, she saw 4 men in Venezuelan army fatigues carrying AK-103 rifles. One carried a radio. "We are at the impact site. Wreckage is scattered. American aircraft confirmed. F-35 markings visible. No sign of the pilot yet. Expanding search grid." Chen held her breath. Her hand rested on her pistol. 15 rounds against 4 armed soldiers, bad odds. The soldiers moved past her position. She waited 10 minutes, then started moving north. At 0700 hours, her survival radio crackled. Viper 2-1. Overwatch. SAR is launching now. 2 MV-22 Ospreys with escort ETA at extraction point is 30 minutes. Continue north. We are uploading coordinates to your GPS now. Her GPS screen refreshed. A new waypoint appeared 2.4 kilometers north, 30 minutes. She started running. The pain was electric. Every step sent shockwaves through her body. She fell twice. At 0720, she heard helicopters. Venezuelan, Russian-made Mi-17 transport helos inserting more troops. The search grid was tightening. She pushed harder. The ridgeline appeared through the trees. She stumbled into the clearing, gasping. Her GPS showed LZ Alpha. She keyed her radio. Viper 2-1 at LZ Alpha, standing by for extraction. Overwatch came back immediately. Copy. SAR is inbound. 2 minutes out. Be advised, Venezuelan air defense is active. Expect hot extract. Then she heard it. The roar of turboprops. 2 V-22 Ospreys screamed over the ridgeline at 200 feet, flanked by 2 AH-1Z Viper attack helicopters. The Ospreys transitioned to helicopter mode, rotors tilting vertical. They flared hard. The rear ramps dropped. Marines in full combat gear poured out, forming a defensive perimeter. A crew chief waved, "Let's go, let's go, let's go!" She ran 20 meters, 10, 5. Gunfire erupted from the tree line. AK rounds snapped overhead. The Marines returned fire. The Viper helicopters unleashed their 20mm cannons, shredding the jungle. Chen dove through the ramp. Hands grabbed her, dragging her inside. The Osprey's engine screamed. The aircraft lurched skyward. More gunfire. Something pinged off the fuselage. The Ospreys tilted forward, transitioning back to airplane mode. They accelerated to 280 knots, racing north toward the Caribbean. Inside the Osprey, a Navy corpsman started an IV. She stared at the ceiling, her body shaking. The crew chief leaned close. "Ma'am, you're safe. You're going home." But in her mind, she kept seeing that moment. The moment every warning system failed. The moment stealth became a lie. Behind her in the mountains of Venezuela, the wreckage of her F-35 was already being cataloged by Chinese intelligence officers. They would study every panel, every circuit, every fragment of radar-absorbent coating. Within 72 hours, the technical data would be in Beijing. Within a week, it would be in Moscow. Within a month, every adversary of the United States would know exactly how to kill the jet America had spent $1.7 trillion to develop. January 12, 2026, 0845 hours, USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, 80 nautical miles north of Venezuela. Captain William Halsey stood before a briefing room packed with pilots. His face was carved from stone. At 0615 this morning, we lost an F-35B to a Soviet-era S-125 missile system from 1961. The pilot was recovered. The jet was destroyed. Total loss. He clicked to the next slide. The system was upgraded with Chinese low-frequency VHF radar arrays. The F-35's radar warning receiver never activated. The aircraft had no indication it was being tracked until detonation. This represents a fundamental failure of our stealth doctrine. He paused. A 65-year-old air defense system just killed the most expensive fighter jet ever built. Cost exchange ratio 55-1 in their favor. An intelligence officer stepped forward. Low-frequency VHF radar operates at longer wavelengths. They wrap around the aircraft. They don't care about angular surfaces or radar-absorbent coatings. The Chinese have been exporting these upgrades for years. Iran has them, Syria has them, now Venezuela has them, and they work. January 15th, 2026, the Pentagon, Washington, D.C. Joint Chiefs stared at satellite imagery. Chinese intelligence officers in civilian clothes cataloging debris across 3 square miles of Venezuelan jungle, loading composite panels, examining radar systems. The Air Force chief answered the unspoken question. 60% of the airframe recovered, most avionics, radar-absorbent coating samples, everything except the engine. Worst case, they can reverse engineer our most advanced stealth technology. Cost to retrofit the entire F-35 fleet, $18 billion. Time required, 7 years. The cost exchange ratio told the story. $2.1 million destroyed, $115 million. 55-1 advantage. Every stealth platform now vulnerable. F-35s, F-22s, B-21s. The recommendation came swift. Immediate operational changes. No stealth aircraft near hostile airspace without electronic warfare support. Accelerated next-generation development. And stop pretending stealth makes us invincible. We spent $1.7 trillion on the assumption of uncontested air superiority. That assumption is invalid. The final cost assessment came 3 weeks later. One F-35B Lightning II destroyed. Total loss, $115 million. One Venezuelan S-125 missile expended. Total cost, $2.1 million. Cost exchange ratio, 55-1 in favor of Venezuela. One pilot recovered alive. Priceless. The shootdown triggered a cascade of strategic changes. The Air Force grounded all F-35 operations near contested airspace pending new tactics development. The Navy reassigned stealth fighters to carrier-based operations only, supported by dedicated electronic warfare packages. The Pentagon authorized $18 billion to retrofit the entire F-35 fleet with updated coatings. Estimated completion time 7 years, but the tactical shifts went deeper. Every strike package now required double the support aircraft, electronic warfare jets to jam enemy radar, wild weasel missions to suppress air defenses, fighter escorts to protect the stealth platforms that were supposed to protect themselves. The cost per mission tripled overnight, but the deeper damage couldn't be measured in dollars. For 2 decades, American air superiority rested on the assumption that stealth made aircraft invisible. That assumption died in the skies over Venezuela on January 12th, 2026. Now every adversary knew the truth. Stealth wasn't invincible, it was just expensive, and expensive doesn't win wars. The myth had been shattered by a 65-year-old Soviet missile system upgraded with Chinese electronics and operated by a Venezuelan crew earning poverty wages. The most advanced fighter in the world had been defeated by a museum piece, not because the technology failed, but because the other side had learned to see what America thought was invisible. Across the globe, implications rippled outward. In Moscow, Russian air defense officers updated their doctrine, integrating VHF radar into layered defense networks. In Tehran, Iranian military planners calculated how many American jets they could kill with upgraded S-300 systems using the same principles. In Beijing, Chinese engineers began designing export-grade radar systems specifically optimized to hunt stealth aircraft, systems they could sell to any nation willing to pay. The market for anti-stealth technology exploded overnight. In the end, the lesson was simple and brutal. You can spend $1 trillion building the perfect machine, but if your enemy spends $1 million learning how to break it, the machine doesn't matter. Wars are won by the side that adapts faster, learns quicker, survives longer. Technology is just a tool, and tools can be countered. The only thing that can't be countered is the will to keep fighting when the tools fail. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Chen learned that lesson at 22,000 feet when her jet exploded around her. The Pentagon learned it 3 weeks later when the cost assessments came in, and the American military is still learning it today because the next adversary is watching, studying, calculating, and somewhere in a bunker in Beijing or Moscow or Tehran, another crew is sitting in front of another screen, tracking another American jet, waiting for the moment to prove that invisible doesn't mean untouchable. The guns have fallen silent, but the war over stealth has only just begun. If you found this analysis powerful, share it, subscribe, and remember, the next time someone tells you technology wins wars, ask them how much that technology costs and whether the other side can afford to break it.